This is the Ekati diamond mine at Lac de Gras in the Northwest Territories, 300 kilometers northeast of Yellowknife. The landscape here is boulder fields, tundra, wetlands, and thousands of lakes and streams. You can only get here by aircraft or in the winter by ice road. We are AIMA, the Independent Environmental Monitoring Agency. It's our job to act as the public watchdog, making sure the environment around the Ekati diamond mine is safely and properly managed.
Those are the 4 stages of a mine. Is at the exploration stage, the construction stage, and the operation stage, and the closure stage. The Aboriginal groups have to be involved at all 4 stages.
This land is important. Before the mine existed, Indigenous people had been here for at least 3,500 years, hunting for caribou, trapping, and fishing. Then, in 1989, diamonds were discovered near Lac de Gras.
This was the first diamond mine in Canada. We really didn't know a lot about diamonds, first of all, and who this company was and what sort of impacts there might be.
In the next 9 years, public meetings were held, environmental studies took place, and eventually permits were issued to the company named BHP for Ekati Diamond Mine to officially open in October 1998. Now the mine is operated by Dominion Diamond Ekati Corporation. The corporation has to abide by an environmental agreement negotiated with federal, territorial, and Aboriginal governments. Part of that agreement made sure our agency was set up to monitor how Ekati's environment is cared for.
People from the communities were quite skeptical of how the government might approach this project, and they wanted to have somebody independent watching.
We are a non-profit with 7 members, 1 each for the Quechua Treaty 8 peoples, that's the Tlitsok Dene First Nation and Yellowknife's Dene First Nation, the Tlinchon government, the Kititmiut Inuit Association, the North Slave Métis Alliance, Indigenous and Northern Affairs Canada, the government of the Northwest Territories, and the company that owns the mine. Each of those groups appoint 1 member to our board of directors to make sure we are accountable to every group that cares about this area of land.
All the groups are working towards a solution that the government, the mining companies, and everybody agrees.
Each board member has specialized knowledge relevant to the agency's work, and each board member operates independently of the group that appointed them.
There was a very conscious decision early on in the negotiations that this was not to be just a representative body. This was to be a group of experts.
Now we can pick a good hunter to sit on the board. He may not understand all the scientific terminology that has been put to the board by mining companies and their scientists. So I think you have a good cross-section of people that address various areas.
Our job is to make sure the environment at Ekati is well cared for and to listen to your concerns. The Ekati diamond mine is more than 30 square kilometers in size.
That kind of a scale is not what one normally thinks of about a mine.
It's a big mine with both open pits and underground operations. Each pit at Ekati used to be a small lake. Workers take out all the fish and drain the lake, then dig up the lake bottom to provide access to the kimberlite underneath. That's the type of rock that contains diamonds. Not all of the rock has diamonds in it. Rock that gets dug up during mining but doesn't contain diamonds is waste rock. It gets taken to a special pile or to a crusher where it can be crushed into material for construction and road building. Rock that looks like it contains diamonds is sent to the process plant where workers find the diamonds by crushing the kimberlite rock into small pieces, somewhere between the size of rough sand and gravel. That slurry gets processed to separate lighter and heavier particles, with the diamonds being part of the heavier particles. The diamonds can then be detected and extracted using X-ray technology. Every day, approximately 40 to 60,000 tons of rock is moved at the mine, and around 10,000 carats of diamonds can be recovered. That's enough diamonds to fill 1-liter can of coffee. All the way through this process, our job as the independent environmental monitoring agency for the Ekati mine is to make sure the environment is well cared for. We also work closely with Dominion Diamond Ekati Corporation. We review the corporation's environmental reports and management plans, and we make recommendations to the corporation and to the government regulators about the best ways to protect the environment.
The agency is set up through a legally binding environmental agreement, so it's enforceable. There can be consequences if the company does not carry out the monitoring, the environmental management.
There are a number of areas we look at when we check up on the environment at Ekati. They are wildlife, waste rock, water and fish, air quality, cumulative effects, and closure and reclamation. First is the local wildlife, animals like caribou, grizzly bears, wolverine, and raptors.
One word, caribou.
How to try to reduce the footprint of the project with regard to caribou.
We look for changes in the number, distribution, and behavior of animals near the mine. We review the company's reports, and we suggest new ways to minimize the impact the mine has on wildlife.
The wolverine is the monitoring agency's logo. Following our push for better wolverine and food management especially, wolverine were in pretty good shape.
We look at how the mines store large amounts of waste rock and how any potential seepage from the waste rock is being managed.
Huge rock piles that most of us Southerners can't really imagine.
A big part of our job is looking at water. The mine's owner monitors all the nearby lakes and streams to find out if wastewater or chemicals from the mine have caused changes to the water.
That water flows up the Coppermine River, and Kuguktuk sits right on the Arctic coast. The only clean water that they get comes from the Coppermine River. So we have to ensure that whatever activity that these mines do, that it doesn't damage that.
Monitors at the Ekati diamond mine sample air quality.
The one aspect of air quality that the agency has paid a great deal of attention to has been dust. What goes up must come down. When it comes down, it will have some consequences for the vegetation and indirectly for the caribou.
We also examine cumulative effects. That means keeping an eye on all the different things happening at the mine and beyond to make sure they don't all add up to create an environmental problem that nobody predicted.
Some people in the mining industry have said, well, if you just look at the physical footprint of mines, it's like less than 1% of the area of the Northwest Territories. Well, that may be true, but that's not the ecological footprint of these operations. The environment downstream of the mine is changing and has changed from where it was before the mine was there. Now, is it a significant change? That's something that needs to be continued to be watched.
And finally, we work on the mine's closure and what happens after it shuts down.
So that we can at least clean up that mine, not originally back the way it was before, because we can never do that, but also clean it up so that it's satisfactory, that there's not a negative impact for future generations to be left with.
Everyone agrees that the land and the water at Ekati should be returned to a usable condition when the mine closes.
There will be monitoring that's required for years after closure.
And the test will be how they close that mine and how they leave it in a situation where there's minimal negative effects.
We make sure there are clear criteria to judge how good a job is done of cleaning up the site, and we ensure information is available at the right time to properly close the mine. We do much more too. For example, we encourage the mine's owners to make use of traditional knowledge when they make plans for the local environment.
The people from the community tell us really helpful things.
We monitor the various regulators of the Northwest Territories to make sure they are doing their jobs effectively. We maintain a public resource library at our office in Yellowknife, and we send out regular communications to Aboriginal peoples and the general public to make sure people are kept up to date.
There's still a lot of work to be done to watch what happens at the site as it's being closed, and even afterwards to make sure that there is no unacceptable residual risks. Are we going to be successful? We're not there yet. We'll have to see.
If you want to get the latest information, here's our website. And if you want to contact us to find out more, we'd love to hear from you. Here's how you can reach us.